أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم اللعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وأجل فرجهم. Today we are going to continue from where we left off last week with regards to jurisprudence, Islamic jurisprudence. Last week we spoke about the issue of marja'iyah, that as a follower of Ahlul Bayt at all costs, you have to follow a marja. It's either yourself you attain that position, or you become a follower, or you become someone who study up until you are about to get to marja'iyah, but you have not yet been there, so you follow your own understanding and then interpretation based on the Quran and then the Sunnah. Today we are going to talk about what we call tahara. Tahara basically means cleanliness. You know, our beloved Prophet in so many ways, he said cleanliness is closer to faith, or it's part of faith. That an-nadhafatu min al-iman, that when a person keeps himself clean, always you are decent, it shows how faithful that you are. Because God Almighty always wants us to be clean. He wants us to be decent. God always, He wants us to be, you know, our decency must be seen, that we are people of decency. So there is no way in Islam, or more especially when it comes to jurisprudence, we discuss jurisprudence without discussion about what we call tahara, which is cleanliness. So when we talk of tahara, you know, the first thing that comes into the mind of each and every one of us here is what? For you to be clean, you have to be clean as a result of what? Using water to clean yourself. Even though it's not only water that cleans, you know, things that are unclean, but the first thing when you talk of cleanliness is water. It is water that comes in mind. So in Islam, whenever we talk of cleanliness and we talk of water, there are categories of water that can be used for cleanliness. So these categories of water, when you go into our jurisprudence, they will tell you that when we talk of water or liquid, we have two types of liquid. We have a liquid, we call it is cleaner, which is pure water. And then we have the one we call it a mix. Mixed is what? A water that has been mixed with something else. For instance, you know, orange, the water that you find in orange is liquid. But that water, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, that water is not clean. When we say clean, it doesn't mean like it's dirty or something like that. But that water cannot be called a clean water, because you can't use it for purification or cleanliness. So in Fiqh we have what we call ma'un mudaf. Ma'un mudaf is that a mixed water. Either we have water and then there is something that is in that water which has changed the water as we know to be colorless, to be tasteless, and then not to have any smell. So that is what we call ma'ul mudafun. It is a mixed water. Then we have ma'un at-tahir, which is a water that doesn't have anything inside it. So whenever you talk of cleanliness, you can use ma'ul mudaf, the water that something like maybe orange water to wash yourself. Neither you can use water that has something that has been mixed into it to wash yourself and to expect that you are clean. And you know, in Islam also, when we talk of cleanliness, we have two types of cleanliness. We have cleanliness that is physical cleanliness, and we have cleanliness that is not physical. That is why in Fiqh you will find out that if you're using terminologies like hadas and habas, sometimes you clean yourself physically because there is a dirt or something impure on your skin. But sometimes no, it's not like there is something impure directly that you see, but it's something that is in you. For instance, when we perform ghusl al-janaba, even after we wash ourselves with soap, it's not enough if we don't perform ghusl al-janaba. Whether we like it or not, we have to perform ghusl al-janaba before we can perform salat, before we can go into the masjid and all this. So it doesn't mean that when we say water cleans, it only cleans the physical dirt, but even the dirt that are not physical also, water cleans those dirt. So we have these two categories of water, which is ma'un, the clean water, ma'ul mudaf, and ma'ul safi. The water that has been added or something has been mixed into it, and then the water that is clean. When we look at this water, sometimes you will have small water, a little water that you collected. Or sometimes you talk of water that is a river, running. Or sometimes you talk of a well water. How does all this water play a role when it comes to cleanliness? But before we go deep into that, our scholars have categorized water into the following that I'm going to mention. First of all, when we talk of water, there is what we call kur water. Kur water in Arabic, when we translate it into English, it means that to have a quantity of water which is 377 kilograms makes up the kur water. It's either it's a swimming pool or it's a river, it's a pond, that water gushes beneath. The water, before we can call it kur water, must be 377 kilograms of water before we can call it kur water. That kur water, it has laws that inshallah we are going to talk about it. Like how does one clean himself with such kur water? And how does that kur water become najis? Because in that kur water, you can use it for janaba, either physical dirt or spiritual dirt. You can use that water to clean, which we call it kur water, which is about 377 kilograms of water. Then we have what we call it a ma'un kalila, which is the under kur water. Something that the water that is not up to 377 kilograms. We call it under kur water, which we call it kalilun. That also has its own principle. You cannot use that water if there are certain mixed things into it to use it for performing ghusl al-janaba. You cannot use it. Inshallah, we are going to discuss thoroughly about that. Then we have running water. Running water also is part of the water that we use for cleanliness. That when you find yourself in a state of mujnat, or there are najasa on your body, you can also use running water to clean yourself. And also among it we have rain water. The rain that falls. Rainwater also can be used for cleaning. Either najasa or blood or whatever that is impure, you can use rainwater also to clean yourself. Then we have water from the well. That one also can be used. But inshallah we are going to discuss the principles. What will give you the green light to be able to use that water? Either to take out physical dirt or spiritual dirt. We are going to talk about it. But now when we talk of all these waters that we've mentioned, first of all, kur water, or running water, rain water, well water, what are the general principles that govern this water? Remember in Fiqh, before you can use water for any other thing, more especially to clean dirt and can use it for salat, you can use it for ghusl al-janaba. There is this three important things that we need to notify. First of all, that water shouldn't have any color. Whether it is cold water, whether it is well water, whether it is a river, it shouldn't have a color. You know, water is colorless. So whenever you have a water which has a color, that water cannot be used either for ghusl janaba or wudu, or even to clean a blood on your skin. That water cannot be used to clean it for us to call it that you have cleaned yourself from something that is impure. Secondly, the water shouldn't have any smell. If you have a water, no matter how clean it is, if it has a smell, you can use that water for wudu. Neither can you use that water for ghusl janaba or ghusl haid or whatever. You cannot use that water for any of, whatever that will make you clean in the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the same way, the last one, which is the water shouldn't have a taste. If you have water that has a taste, either with salt or lemon or whatever, such water also cannot be used for a person to clean himself. So whenever you are going to take out, either being it physical death or spiritual death, being it well water, cool water or whatever, you cannot use it if the water changes color. So this clearly tells us that when you have water and then there is something inside that water which can change one of these three, then that water cannot be used for either ghusl janaba or for ablution. But now there are certain differences between like the core water, which is 377 kilograms, and then the water that is under core water, that is very important. When we talk of core water, which is 377 kilograms of water, whenever there is something that is impure into that water, whenever there is a najasa in that water, for instance, there was a blood that was poured in that core water, or maybe there was a dead body, or maybe dead animal or whatever that is found in that core water, but that dead animal was taken out, and then the smell or the color of that animal or the blood couldn't change the color, the taste, the smell of that water, because the water is cool, is 377 or is beyond. Still the water is classified as clean water. Because it's more than cool water, it's classified as, provided these three things couldn't change. I don't know if you are getting me very, very, very well. That 377 kilograms of water, if something enters into it and it couldn't change the color, neither the taste or the smell, either that thing that went into the water is najis or not, then that water is still classified as clean water. For instance, you have cool water, you have a swimming pool which is more than 377 kilograms of water in your house, and then maybe you are mujnis, you have najasa over your body, you went into it and then you washed yourself. While you are washing yourself, you are taking najasa from your skin and then you are putting it back into the water. But after you finish washing yourself, did that najasa change the taste of the water, color of the water, the smell of the water? If it couldn't change, still that water is classified as, it's still clean. You can still use that water for ablution. That is why when you go to places like Islamic countries, you find out there is a water which is stagnant. They use it for wudu. They clean themselves and everybody comes and then they use that water. They don't say, no, this water because somebody used it to clean himself. No, because the water, the color of the water didn't change, neither the smell, and then the taste of the water didn't change. And then remember, the water is more than core water, which is 377 kilograms. But when water is below that, it's not up to 300, maybe a small container of water, and you use that water, either blood was poured in that water or whatever. In this instance, all our scholars, they are questioning us to avoid using that water for performing ghusl janaba. Even though the color didn't change, the taste didn't change, the smell didn't change. But because that water is an undercore water, it's classified as, it's better you avoid that water. Even some even went as far to say, no, even if the color didn't change, you cannot use that water because that water is classified as najis. So that is the big difference between what is core water and then what is undercore water. So if water is less than 377 kilograms and you wash yourself, like some people, they have a basin like this. When they are washing themselves for ghusl janaba, they stand in and then they wash themselves and then they still want to use that water. That water is regarded as impure. You cannot use that water for wudu, or you can use it for ghusl janaba. No, you cannot use that water. That water is najasa. You need to throw that water away. But if it is more than core water, there is no problem. You can still use that water for wudu and whatever. The same way running water. Running water, as we know, we call it running because it's running from one direction to the other. Running water, because it runs always, it is clean. We don't classify it as najas. Unless where you are standing, maybe let's say we have a river which is running from that side up until this side. And then we had blood here where we are standing. And we can see that the blood has changed this part of the water. At that moment, we cannot use that water. Because that water at that moment is najis. We cannot use that water either for wudu or ghusl janaba. We cannot use that water. But let's say the blood, contaminated with the water here. But before it got to our area, it couldn't change the color, neither the taste or the smell. We cannot say because there was blood in the water in maybe spring and it got here, so, and then the water is running from that direction. So we say no. If it is najas there, it is najas also. No. Provided when the water got to this place, the color didn't change, the smell and then the taste never changed, that water can be used, and we can use that water for wudu and everything. The same way when it comes to stagnant water, like wells. Wells also is either it's more than core water or it's under core water. If a well is more than core water, it takes the rulings of core water, which is 377 kilograms. So whatever that enters into it, if it couldn't change these three, we can still use it. But if there is a change, then it will be a problem. Because sometimes you find a well, animals fall into this well and then they die. When they die, suddenly, maybe after few hours, these animals are discovered and then they take the animals out of this water. If the water is less than core water, it is najis, you can't use that water. If it is less than 377 kilograms, there is no way you can use that water for wudu and then you can use it for najasa. No, you cannot use it. But if the water is more than core water in the well, still you have the opportunity to use that water to clean yourself from whatever, either hadas or habas, and then you are clean. Now, sometimes, fiqh issue, there are certain technical issues. Even though our mind will think that no, probably things like that are not okay. But in fiqh, there is no problem. For instance, you have a swimming pool in your house. And then you jumped into the swimming pool, realizing that when you went to the toilet, you didn't clean yourself before you jumped into it. But now, after you came out of the swimming pool, you realize that when you went to the toilet, you didn't clean yourself. Because the water is more than a core water. And whatever that came out of you mixed with the water, and it couldn't change the color, taste, and smell, that water is still regarded as clean water. I want you to listen to this very carefully. Even though all of us, nobody will to drink that water. Okay, nobody will will to drink that water. But according to the teachings of Fiqh, that water cannot be classified as najasa. The water is so permissible to use for wudu. You can use it for ablution. You can use it for, your ghusl janaba or ghusl haid or whatever. You can still use that water for all those ghusl without any problem. But if the water is less than pure water, and you didn't clean yourself and you jumped into it, in that instance, that water is classified as najasa, even if it couldn't change the color or taste. The same way when it comes to running water, well water, all the laws applies the same way. But to us, it's something strange. Why should I drink a water that I know I didn't wash myself and I went into it, and after I came out I realized that I didn't wash myself? Why should I go into such, why should I drink that water? Yes, that is us. Islam is not forcing us to drink that water. But at least you can use that water for ablution. You can use that water for ghusl janaba. Even if you want to drink, you feel free to drink it. There is no problem. It is not just you can drink it. The same way if it is blood on your body, or whatever that is a najas which is in your body, and you jump into water that is more than 377 kilograms, and it couldn't change these 3 things, it still remains intact. There is no problem about it. And inshallah we are going to also talk about some other things that cleanse what is impure. Sometimes the sun that we see becomes a result of cleaning something that is impure. Sometimes if you have a najasa, for instance, there was something that is impure which poured in the masjid, for instance, a urine or something like that here. And then for some time the sun was shining on top of it. Up until now we can't find the traces. And either the smell, we can't see any mark, we can't smell anything. That place also is regarded as fire. That place is regarded as clean, even though we didn't use water. But because of days and months when sun was shining on top of it, up until now we can't find the trace of the urine. We cannot smell it, neither do we see any mark that indicates that there was a urine here. That also itself purifies the place, so the place now becomes what's fire. The same way, even if it's a dead body, maybe an animal died somewhere, while the animal is still lying there, when it is decomposing and decaying, we can perform salah today. The place is regarded as a najis. But if the animal remains there for maybe 2-3 years, up until you come there at a time, you won't find any traces that there was animal. The remains of animal here. The remain of a dead animal here. At that instance, that place is regarded as clean. You can stand there, you can perform salat without any problem. The same way, sometimes also soil can be used to clean a place. Soil, just this soil. Like for instance, if you have, in the absence of water, what do you use for wudu? You use soil to make tayammum. So tayammum, soil also can be regarded to a certain level to be clean. For instance, if you have maybe blood here, and then we came up with soil to clean it, we cleaned up until, okay, this one is carpet, so definitely the blood is liquid. But let's say on a cement there was a blood. You know, blood is najis. Inshallah, we're going to talk about the najasat. If the blood is there, we can perform salat there. We can perform salat there. Neither when the blood touches our skin, we need to clean it. Maybe there is no water, then we use soil to clean the place. Up until we don't see any traces of the blood, we don't smell the blood, we don't see it. That also makes the tree be clean. It's regarded as it's clean. We can stand that place to perform salat without any problem. So inshallah, in our lessons to come, we will discuss more into detail water, especially the one which is kur and less than kur, and also we'll come up to what is najasat, what are impure. We talk of the urine, we talk of the stool, we talk of dead animals and all these things. Inshallah, we are going to discuss it, and as a result, we will understand exactly what makes a person to be clean in all his doings and actions, so that between him and Allah, whatever that he does will be regarded, or Allah will accept it as is clean. Or what is it that he will do which will render uncleanliness of whatever that he does in the way of doing it for Allah to be regarded as unclean. So inshallah, this is the short lesson that we'll be having today with regards to water. Remember, we spoke about water. We said we have kur water, which is more than 377, and we have less than the kur water. And then we have river or running water, and then we have also stagnant water or well water. These are the 4 types of water that we have when it comes to the issue of cleanliness. And we also mentioned sand also can be a means of something being clean, the same as soil. Inshallah, next time we'll discuss about what is a najasa. What is it that when you find it, it forces you not to be able either to perform salat, or to perform salat there, or to go close to it, or hold it or touch it. Inshallah, we are going to discuss the issues of najasat again. I don't know if there is a question or whatever that whoever wants to know more about what we have discussed, you can go ahead and ask. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. In the swimming pool, maybe you need to find out, a swimming pool will know how many barrels makes a swimming pool. I don't know, it depends on the swimming pool. There are big ones and there are small ones. So you need to try and know a swimming pool, how many barrels of water that flows out the swimming pool. And then that water can be, if you get to know how many, because we know a barrel of water, the weight of a barrel of water, up until you are very sure that the water that is in that swimming pool is more than 377 kilograms, the weight is more than, then that water is regarded as kur water. In most cases, all the swimming pools that we have is more than kur water. It's more than 377 kilograms of water. Unless maybe the small ones or these made ones that they just, they bring it, they put water. Some of these ones are doubtful. But the ones that we have in the houses, most of it is more than kur water. So that water can be used for wudu and everything. No problem. Now, Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I would like to understand the word kur. The word kur means the weight of that water.
No, kur water means that kur is a water that has a weight of 377 kilograms. That is what we call kur water. So we have kur water and beyond, and we have under kur water. Under kur water is water that is not up to that kilogram of when it comes to its weight. That is regarded as under kur water. Okay? So if water is more than kur water, there are a lot of freedom. But when it is less than kur water, then there are a lot of obstacles and then, conditions attached to it.
If in the surface, the animal comes really by age and urinates there.
If what?
If the animal comes and urinates on the surface of the soil.
Okay.
So you come by time of the zoo. They still consider it as clean.
No, you need to make sure that you don't see the traces. Either the smell, the must, and all these things. Maybe the sun has shined on top of it up until it's dried. You can differentiate between that place and then the other place. Then it's regarded as clean. But in this instance, it is the sun that made it to be clean, not water. Okay? Now is there any question with regards to water? a clean water, the pure water, and impure water. Now, alaykum salam.
My question is about like 20 liters, 20 kg. Say now I'm doing the
Ghusl of
Tartiba.
Janaba, the tartib, yeah? Okay.
And then I'm using the jar.
Okay.
I pour my right side in.
Okay.
The first pour, some of the water goes into the
Yeah.
that
The one that you put on your left side, it goes into the water that you have it there. You have to be very careful of that because it renders the water to be unclean. You understand? Whenever you make ghusl janaba, make sure that the water that you have is not close, that whenever you clean yourself, because that water is under kuru water. So under kuru water, it has a lot of strings attached. If you're not careful, it will render all your janaba inside. No, that one there's no problem. But for the water to be running over you into that thing, because what some of us we do is we have a big bowl, we stand in, so when we wash it goes in back, and then we fetch it again to wash ourselves, which is under kuru water. That one is not accepted. If you do that, your ghusl janaba is not valid.
To do with just ordinary ghusl without janaba.
Which ordinary ghusl?
Like when you feel like something.
Oh, that one there is no problem. That one, if it is hot and you want to bath, you can use even what we call orange water and bath. That one is used. So there's no problem. If you think that will make you, more comfortable, there's no problem. Okay? Because remember when we spoke about what is called hadath and habath. We have physical death and we have ritual. Okay? Physical death may be, just like, I've sweat, so let me just get some water to clean. You can use any water that you want, no problem. But when it comes to you in a state of a hive, janaba, you can use any of that water to, no, you need to get water that is clean. Huh? Hive. Menstruation. Hive. Now, any question? No question.
No question
It's time. So if there is no question, inshallah, next week we will continue with the issue of what is najasa, what is impure. Next week we will continue. Inshallah, our second